Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Artistry in Action, the weekly online service of the United Palace of Spiritual Arts in New York City, the home of spiritual artistry. I'm Reverend Greg Ippolito, the Creative Associate, and I will be your host. Thank you for joining me. This month we're celebrating new beginnings in honor of the start of 2020 and a new decade. In today's service, we're revisiting a well-known Taoist story that was told to us by Reverend Dr. Diane Rooney, a dear friend and mentor of mine. In addition to being an interfaith minister and Taoist healer, Reverend Diane also operates her own acupuncture healing practice here in New York City. She incorporates all she's learned from her Taoist studies to each healing session and also leads lectures and workshops around the country. In sharing the story entitled The Farmer and His Horse, Reverend Diane offers us an opportunity to reflect on how we interpret our own circumstances. As you listen to the story, consider the farmer's perspective and ask yourself how you would respond if you were in his situation. When faced with a challenge, how do you react? And how does your reaction impact your results? I invite you now to sit back, relax, and connect with Spirit in whatever way is most comfortable for you, as you enjoy Reverend Diane Rooney's reading of The Farmer and His Horse.
One day in late summer, an old farmer was working in his field with his only horse, who was sick and old. The farmer felt compassion for the horse and desired to lift its burden, so he let the horse loose to go live in the mountains for the rest of his life. Soon after hearing this, the neighbor from a nearby village visited, offering his condolences, saying, "What a shame. How will you work the land and prosper now that your only horse is gone? How unfortunate this is." The farmer replied, "Maybe it is, maybe it isn't." 2 days later, the horse came back, now rejuvenated after meandering through the mountainside, and he came back with 12 new, younger, and healthy horses, which followed the horse right into the corral. So word got out in the village. I guess it was a small village. And the neighbor came by and said, "How fortunate you are. You must be very happy. This is surely your ticket to prosperity." Again, the farmer replied, "Maybe it is, maybe it isn't." At daybreak on the next morning, the farmer's only son set off to attempt to train the horses. But the farmer's son was thrown off the horse onto the ground, broke his leg. Again, word got out, and the neighbor came by and said, "Oh, what a tragedy. Your son won't be able to help you farm with the broken leg. You will have no one to help you on the farm. How will you survive? This is certainly going to ruin your dreams." The farmer replied, "And maybe it isn't." Several days later, a war broke out. The emperor's men arrived in the village demanding the young men come fight in the army. And of course, the farmer's son was deemed unfit because he had a broken leg. "What a very good fortune you have," said the neighbor. "All our sons are being marched away. You must be happy. Surely this is very special for you." Guess what the farmer said? Maybe it is, or maybe it isn't. Time went on. The broken leg healed, but the son was left with a limp, which the villagers offered their condolences, and the farmer again replied the same way. As it turned out, the other young village boys had died in the war, and the old farmer and his son were the only able-bodied men capable of working in the village lands. The old farmer became very wealthy and was very generous to the villagers, who said, "You must be happy that this is obviously a great fortune for you and your son." To which he replied, "Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't." And so it goes on. Do you see how we make assumptions and we just don't know? You never know how life will turn out. Just because a thing happens in our lives doesn't necessarily mean what we think it means. We just don't know. So why try and control it when it's going to happen anyway? Stop fighting against the flow of nature. Let things flow as they may. Get rid of expectations. When we let go and trust, We allow our flowing breath to refresh, renew, and replenish us every moment. And that provides us with new opportunities every moment. And we become flourishing human beings. And then we are living the Tao of new beginnings. One last time, let's all take a deep breath.
That's quite an inspiring story, and told by a true master of Taoist teachings, Reverend Diane Rooney. A lesson that stood out to me is that no event can truly be judged as good or bad, lucky or unlucky, or fortunate versus unfortunate. Only time can tell the whole story. And when we keep an open mind about the outcome of complications in our lives, we allow the flow of life to take control. Perhaps, even through our worries, that flow was always in control to begin with. Thank you for joining us at the United Palace of Spiritual Arts, the home of spiritual artistry. We hope that you enjoyed today's service and that you found it inspirational. If so, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons so that you won't miss any of the other services or programs from the United Palace. I'm Reverend Greg Ippolito, and it has been a pleasure and a privilege to share your journey of spiritual artistry. Until next time.